The job of science is to remove the mystery from the world. The job of faith is to show us the holy mystery hiding everywhere. Today we celebrate the Transfiguration of the Lord, that wonderful mountaintop moment that offered the disciples a glimpse of who Jesus really was. In our modern scientific world, what are we to make of it? What are your feelings about this story? Is it all make-believe? Does it mean anything to you? Have you ever had one of those moments when you have felt the presence of God in a very significant way? And if you have, what difference did it make? As most of you know, I was a hospital chaplain for over 20 years, and as such, very privileged to hear many amazing stories. People shared with me some of their special God moments that meant so much to them. Experiences that offered reassurance or brought about change. For instance, a parishioner from here was in hospital, dying and really, really distressed. And then, as she explained to me, God came to her in a dream. Overnight, it was as though she was a different person. Peace surrounded her, a peace that had an impact on all who came into her room. And then my sister was telling me a story of a little boy, 2 years old, with cancer. His mum, a close friend of hers, had been brought up in the Methodist Church with a mother who prayed with her through all the important events of her life. She in turn followed that example, took her son to healing services every week, even after the doctors had said there was no hope. At one such service, she returned to her seat after her son had been prayed for, and an old man whom she had come to know jumped up and said to her, "Did you feel the power when they prayed?" She hadn't noticed anything different. But as she sat down, her son said to her, "Mummy, did the man see the bird?" "What bird?" she asked. "The beautiful white bird," he replied. "It came down and it put its wings on my face like that." A beautiful white bird. What could a 2-year-old see and feel, and an old man sense what others could not? That little boy was healed. But then, of course, we do need to recognise that many prayers seemingly go unanswered. And why did the mother of that same little boy end up dying of cancer herself some years later, way before her time? These are the questions we struggle with. These are the questions for which we have no answers. Hopefully, though, this never stops us from seeking and searching, looking always to discover more about God. Today is the last Sunday of Epiphany, the season where we reflect on the many ways God reveals God's self to us. You might remember on the first Sunday of this season, we heard the story of Jesus' baptism. How fitting is it that today we will end this season with another baptism? Now, when you think of Jesus' baptism and the dove descending, you have to wonder, did the dove put its wings on Jesus' face in a gentle caress as he heard the words, "You are my beloved Son, with you I am well pleased"? Was Jesus the only one who saw the bird? Did others sense its presence or hear the voice? Today our gospel has echoes of this baptism story, but this time it's a very clear disclosure of who Jesus is. Jesus, dirty and dusty from the climb up the mountain, is transformed. His face shines. His robes are dazzling white. He talks to long dead prophets, and a voice comes from the cloud. To the apostles and the people of Jesus' time, this story would have many expected characteristics. Traditions had it that gods live on high, and so this revelation happened on a mountaintop. Like Moses before him, Jesus' face shines brightly, and the voice speaks from the cloud. This traditionally symbolises the presence of God. Jesus converses with Moses and Elijah, the representatives of the law and the prophets, respectively. These two represent the religious tradition of ancient Israel, and so their presence confirms the authority of Jesus and of his teaching. We don't know what they said. You see, today's story is focused more on the experience of the apostles. So how did they respond? Well, Peter's response is to want to hang on to that moment, something I'm sure we can all identify with. And of course, as we all know, you can't do that. Time stops for no one. We all have to return to the plain. So Peter's response is a very human one. This is Peter, who has taken the breathtaking risk of believing in Jesus. Peter, who has given up his home, his family, his life as a fisherman, to walk the dusty roads and to climb mountains, following this Jesus who breaks the rules and ignores convention, who talks and eats with the wrong people, who argues with the Pharisees and those in authority. A Messiah who speaks now not of glory, but of suffering and death. Why wouldn't Peter want to stay on the mountaintop in the presence of God, where everything seems certain and safe? How many times on your journey have you too desperately needed that certainty and reassurance, that deep sense of the presence of God and the strength and the peace that it brings? When a little one suffers, when a world is in turmoil, when the future seems uncertain, I know that I want that God of the mountaintop, the God who places gentle wings on a tiny boy who unaccountably survives. As they came down from the mountain, Jesus orders the disciples to tell no one about their experience until after his resurrection. But the revelation is not forgotten. They return to the plains, but they carry the experience with them. It shapes them and changes them. They see the world now with different eyes. Perhaps they see possibilities that they have never seen before. Perhaps they are transfigured themselves. I certainly know the stories that others have shared with me have had a big impact on my faith. So maybe it is not the science and the logical reasoning behind these intimate experiences of God that is so important. Maybe it is the impact that such experiences have on the people themselves that we have to recognise. Faith is seeing the possibilities that lie beneath what seems ordinary. As Bishop Julian Gordy says, if we pay attention, we might come to see that our communities are holy. We might come to know that our world is holy, and despite all that is happening, God permeates every inch of it. We might come to know that we are holy, that God dwells not in a tabernacle, but in us. We might come to know that our neighbour is holy and is the place where we are most likely to meet and to serve the mysterious and Holy One. So in the words of John O'Donoghue, this is my prayer for you all for the coming season of Lent, and my prayer for two little boys who today are to be baptised. May you awaken to the mystery of being here. May you respond to the call of your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. And above all, may you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees you in every moment. Amen.